years ago, because right at this minute we're very much involved in discussions as to how to make sure
Welcome to Uppsala University in Campus Gotland. I'm the Vice Chancellor of Uppsala University. And welcome to today's seminar, Universities as Bridge Builders in the Baltic Sea Region. Today, we celebrate the merger between Uppsala University and Gotland University. And already this morning, the first students were enrolled at Campus Gotland. Campus Gotland will be an integrated part of Uppsala University. At the same time, we would like to take care of and develop the amazing environment that makes Gotland so special. Through Campus Gotland, we want to create a unique profile within Uppsala University and contribute to a sustainable and competitive development of the region. Today's celebration includes 5 seminars which highlight relevant issues to Campus Gotland. The subjects we are about to discuss, how and why the university sector should engage in and contribute to reaching the goals of deepened European integration, it is indeed of great relevance. Universities play a major role in achieving the regional objectives for the Baltic Sea region. There are already many ongoing initiatives in the region, and we as a university would like to continue to contribute to the development. At Uppsala University Campus Gotland, we have a special focus on the Baltic Sea region, both for the environment and for the society. The questions concerned all of our 3 main tasks as a university: research, education, and collaboration with the wider society. Our action plan for the region will be based on the European Union strategy for the Baltic Sea. It includes measures for establishing Campus Gotland as a powerful, credible, and cooperative partner in the Baltic Sea regional collaboration. We also aim to increase our presence, visibility, and collaboration on local, regional, national, and international levels, facilitating cross-faculty integration and cooperation through new contacts, influences within research and education. Campus Gotland is also a natural and highly sought-after venue for meetings, and we hope to take advantage of this in many ways. We hope, for example, that Campus Gotland will be arranging more international scientific conferences here in the future. Within our board and strong areas of research and education, there is already a lot of knowledge and experience relevant to the Baltic Sea region. There is within Uppsala University, for example, the Baltic University Program, which for many years have led and been coordinating the countries around the Baltic Sea in the area of education. The Center for Russian Studies is one of our strategic areas of research with a broad interdisciplinary focus on Russia and its neighboring countries. Within our university, there is knowledge of politics, economics, law, and culture, topics that are important for the region's development and for moving forward on environmental issues. Gotland University has previously led extensive activities related to the Baltic Sea region within subjects as biology, conservation, and business administration. Experiences from previous efforts in this area are, of course, important for the future development of our action plan. Linking our approach to the EU Baltic Sea Strategy will make the process relevant for all the disciplinary domains within the university. The action plan will be completed and approved and thereafter activated during this autumn. But now it is time for the discussion on universities as bridge builders in the Baltic Sea region. I look forward to a very interesting session where we will have many prominent guests here this afternoon. And once again, welcome to all of you. And I now give the floor to Daniel Tarschys, who will lead the seminar. Please, Daniel.
Thank you very much, Rector Magnifica. You are much too modest in describing yourself as Vice Chancellor. Swedish rectors call themselves Vice Chancellor. It's a bad translation from English. I mean, they are rectors. They are leaders of the universities. They should remember that, I think. Now, we are going to discuss the role of universities in the Baltic Sea Strategy. The Baltic Sea Strategy, as you know, is a strategy formulated by the European Union. A lot of different activities go on within this strategy, partly financed by the European Commission, but partly organized by organizations outside the European Commission. There are various forms of leadership within this system. Countries contribute, agencies contribute, organizations contribute. It's a system of activities. And the universities play a very particular role in this cooperation because universities have always been very much instrumental in creating this Baltic region. Let me just remind you of 4 different contributions of universities in the past and of the ways in which universities have forged unity in the Baltic Sea area. First of all, one predecessor of Eva Åkesson, Johan Skytte, in the 17th century, was not only the chancellor of Uppsala University, but also the chancellor of Tartu University, the founder of Tartu University. For some time, he occupied both posts at the same time, actually, combining the leadership of 2 universities in the Baltic Sea region. The second example I would like to quote is also present here today, the Riga, the Stockholm School of Business in Riga, which is an initiative in the 1990s from the Swedish side, which has led to the build-up of a fantastic institution in Riga and to a lot of contacts, scientific, scholarly, academic contacts between these 2 important seats of learning. A third example I would like to quote is the European Humanities University in Vilnius, which was founded in Minsk 20 years ago and was harassed very much by Mr. Lukashenko, the leader of Belarus, forced into exile and welcomed by the Lithuanian government, and is now an organization funded to a very large extent by a combination of the European Commission and the Nordic Committee of Ministers, which have organized together a trust fund with contributions from many Baltic states and some other states also to support academic survival and academic development among Belarus scholars. And let me finally cite as a 4th example of university involvement the Scandinavianist movement in the mid-19th century. Sweden at the time and Denmark had been at war 10 times. There was an old hostility between Sweden and Denmark and also between some other countries in the Baltic region. Now the students at several Swedish universities and Danish universities, and I think also Norway and Finland, took the initiative of visiting each other, of organizing meetings, and they actually started out a movement that would ultimately lead to Nordic cooperation in a much deeper sense than had ever existed before. So again, these are examples of university activities that lead to a strengthening of Baltic cooperation. Those are examples from the past. Now we are going to talk about the future. And we have 4 distinguished speakers. We have a panel of 3. We have 4 speakers and 3 panelists. I think the borders have somewhat merged here. We are a bit fused. But let me introduce the first speaker, who is Wåglund Söderström, Secretary of State, in the Swedish government and responsible for European cooperation. Please, Oscar.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Secretary of State sounds sounds even, I'm a little bit more modest than that, actually.
You should never accept these very modest titles.
Exactly, that's right.
Secretary of State.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for inviting me to this seminar. But most of all, congratulate you for this excellent initiative to incorporate the objectives of the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region in the university's, well, steering documents and your activities. I think it's fantastic to be here in Gotland. I try to visit this Almedalen week every year, of course, but also, of course, the county and the island of Gotland, which is right in the middle of in the center of the Baltic Sea. Just a quarter of a century ago, this island was the easternmost outpost of Sweden, not far away from the Iron Curtain that divided the Baltic Sea at that time. Contacts around the Baltic were restricted to cooperation between Sweden, Finland, and Denmark. Almost nobody in this country knew what life looked like on the other side. 25 years later, 8 out of 9 states around the Baltic are equal partners in the same European Union, and today one of them is taking over the EU presidency, which I think really marks this historic day today. We don't only share the same sea, but we also share a set of fundamental values, which is democracy, freedom, human rights, and rule of law. Borders and passport controls are history since a few years. We are part of the same single market, and we share the same laws and regulations. This makes regional cooperation in a range of fields not only possible, but also necessary, because we are completely dependent on each other. Because there are also great challenges in this region. Just outside this island, as you can't spot it really, but the seabed is completely dead due to decades of eutrophication and pollution. The economic differences are great between the countries in the region. The region is divided due to a lack of cross-border infrastructure for energy and transport. If we are to save our sea and increase prosperity here around the Baltic Sea, we need to connect the region, to interlink it, and to take our cooperation to a new level. And I think this initiative by Uppsala University is in essence what the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea is just all about. A broad commitment by all levels of society to cooperate in reaching commonly agreed objectives, taking advantage of the fact that we are all part of the same community, of the same union. The EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region is in itself quite an innovative instrument for EU policy in need of creative solutions and creative ways of implementation. We need these creative solutions and ideas if we're going to fulfill the very ambitious goals set out in the strategy, and that the EU member states around the Baltic have set for themselves to save the sea, to connect the region, and to increase prosperity. The Swedish government's vision is for the Baltic Sea region to be a pioneer region for Europe. This will only be possible with the contribution of all levels of society, of governments, municipalities and regions, public authorities, organizations, and also civil society. Universities and academia also play a very important role in this work, and this is why initiatives like this are very encouraging, I think, for the future of the strategy and for the future of the region. The active participation of universities and academia is essential for many flagship projects that form part of the strategy. One is called the Baltic Region Star Project. Is a very good example. It's a program for research and innovation, clusters, and SME networks. The link between universities and business is expected to result in real business opportunities in a range of products and services. Another good example that was already mentioned is the flagship projects led by Vilnius University and also Uppsala, which is the Baltic University Program, the largest university network in the region. Universities are crucial. They have the potential to reach out to the young generation around the Baltic Sea and facilitate mobility in the region, which we badly need, which in itself also can serve as a driver for increased competitiveness. Maybe it's even a stepping stone towards some kind of common Baltic identity, which is hard to say that it exists today, but I think it could exist maybe in the future. And from the government side, we hope that inspiring initiatives like this one will be followed by many others, of course. The EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region has a broad agenda and covers a wide field of issues. The government can only be a facilitator for the implementation of the strategy, but we can also be a door opener for dynamic and creative ideas. And one area where the government is committed to facilitate implementation is the embedment of this strategy in the relevant different European funds of the next long-term budget for the European Union. You know, this budget was adopted just last week. Negotiations are still going on with the European Parliament on the European structural investment funds, and they may cover more than a third of the EU budget and will be the main source of project funding for the strategy. It's already clear that that there will be support for the macro-regional approach, which this is called, like the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region, will be supported. This means that we will have a powerful instrument for the next 7 years at hand for a deeper integration in the region if we play our cards right. Just to reiterate that I think this 1st of July today is a very historic day for Europe. Croatia is joining the European Union as member state number 28, and we know what life in Croatia was like only 20 years ago or 15 years ago. Today, Lithuania is taking over the presidency of the European Union, and since we have the Lithuanian ambassador here, let me just take this opportunity to wish the Lithuanian presidency bon courage for your first day, and for the upcoming 6 months, which will be very challenging considering the broad agenda, not only on Baltic issues, but also on other issues, of course. So thank you very much again for inviting me to this seminar today, and I hope the seminar will be productive and interesting. Thank you.
So, Oscar, thank you very much. I think you said some very promising things about trying to look carefully into the use of the European budget. It is not so well known that research actually is funded more through the regional budget of the European Union than through the research budget. But there is a lot of money for research, and in order to see to it that that money is used for good research, activity by the governments and by the universities is tremendously important. The next speaker is not with us in person, but is with us on the screen. It's Mr. Colin Wolfe, who is responsible at the European Commission for macro regions. You know, we have some over 200 regions in Europe, but only a couple of macro regions. The Baltic Sea region, that's the first macro region. There's now also development of the Danube Sea region, and Mr. Wolfe is involved in both, I think. And we will now see him and hear him on the screen. Do we have him? Yes.
That your work, that the Baltic Sea region work, that perspective is fully in. We would very much like to send a message to you, meeting in Gotland, from Brussels here, wishing you well in this seminar, this discussion you're having on universities as bridge builders in the Baltic, included in the programs that will be taking place from 2014 through to 2020. We're engaged in very intense discussions as to how we do that in the way that Brussels approaches it, in the way that the different countries approach it in their programs, and in the way that everybody sees it in terms of the overall shape of the Baltic Sea region in